If anyone other than a licensed mortgage broker has told you that you can't get a mortgage because you don't have a UK passport or because you have a skilled worker visa, make sure you watch this video until the end because I'm going to tell you why they're probably wrong. What's the perfect profile? So, this perfect profile applies to people that have non UK passports or skilled worker visas. So, this is the perfect profile. It doesn't mean that if you don't match this profile, you can't get a mortgage. But if you do match this profile, it means that you're probably more likely to get the best deal based on having a skilled worker visa and have the most options. So, the first thing is employed full time, PAYE, salaried, meaning you have a contract from an employer. The contract states that you make £47,000 a year. So that means even if you're off work sick, you make that £47,000 a year. I don't mean long term sick, but if you miss a couple of days. So what it really means is you're not paid based on how many hours you work for the month. You're based on a fixed amount. Each month you get pretty much the same, but you do potentially work overtime and you can make more. So that's key number one. You're not on probation. You have a full time fixed term contract that says how much you make. And I'm only talking about the perfect profile. So, as I said, even if you don't have the perfect profile, you can still get a mortgage. Good credit profile. So by good credit profile, I mean you haven't had any missed payments, late payments, CCJs, defaults. Your credit score is high and you have not missed any payments. You have a low income to debt ratio. So let's just say you may have a good credit profile in the sense that you've never missed any payments. But if you are making £50,000 a year and you have £30,000 worth of debt, even if you've never missed a payment, that's a really high debt to income ratio. That does not make you the perfect client. You have a deposit of 11% of the house price, and it's in a high interest savings account. So I've told you to avoid talking about percentages, but in this sense, if you're buying a house for 400,000, you'd want to make sure you have about £41,000 for deposit. This is to be the perfect client. Let me let you in on a hint, and I'm so glad you've watched up until this point. But even if you have a skilled worker visa or non UK passport, there are lenders that I work with and I help people with every day that will accept as little as a 5% deposit. 5%. But there are other things that need to be in place. But I would say for the perfect profile, you want to make sure that you have about 11%. You've been in the UK for 3 years or more. Maybe you even have an indefinite leave to remain, and you have at least 18 months left on your visa. Remember, I'm only talking about the perfect profile. If you don't match this criteria, I can still get you a mortgage. And this is one of the other key things. The house price that you're purchasing is about 4 times your income. So if you have a combined income, you and your partner, of about £50,000, 4 times 5 is 200,000. If you are buying for that 200,000, that would put you in the category of the perfect profile. That means there's not a lot of stress on your income. That means you're going to be more than comfortable with affordability if you meet the other things that I've just listed. So, if you have a skilled worker visa or non UK passport and you meet the profile that I've just explained, you're more likely than not going to be able to qualify for not only the best products with the best lenders, but also you'll match a lot of the best rates. So make sure you reach out to me. Even if you don't meet this criteria, I can still help you. So many people on skilled worker visas rule themselves out of home ownership because of bad information, misinformation, disinformation, and outright lies. The truth is, yes, there are some extra criteria, but the process is more straightforward than most people think, especially with the right guidance. My name is Anthony Lindsay, and I've been helping people get mortgages for over 30 years. I've done everything in finance from debt collection to wealth management to lending. So I'm going to talk you through the process of getting a mortgage if you have a non UK passport or if you have a skilled worker visa. Don't believe the myths, the lies, the misinformation, the things that friends and family may have told you, or maybe things that you've told yourself. I do find that there's a lot of bad information going around. And sometimes even that friend or family member that has invited you over to their new house because they just got their mortgage with a skilled worker visa, sometimes the information that they're giving you is wrong because that information is not specific to you. They'll talk you through their experience. No two mortgages are exactly the same, just like no two properties are exactly the same, and no two people are exactly the same. So the myths usually surround the following things: how long you have to be in the UK, your employment status, the credit, your income, the deposit. I'll talk you through the timelines and the process. And let me just say upfront, you do need to use a broker. Going directly to your bank, if you have a non UK passport or you're on a skilled worker visa, is a bad idea because when you go directly to the bank, they can only talk to you about their products. So this is probably source number one of the bad or misinformation because friends and family members have gone directly to their bank. Their bank has told them no, or their bank has told them some criteria that they don't match. And then they tell you that. And then you've told yourself you can't get a mortgage. So I am going to dispel all of those myths today. Issue number one, or the myth number one that people have told themselves or have been told because they have a non UK passport or they're on a skilled worker visa, is around the length of time in the UK. With 3 or more years in the UK, you'll have the most options. So if you have an indefinite leave to remain, or you've been in the UK for more than 3 years and you have proof of address for more than 3 years, it's going to give you the most options. But it doesn't mean that without that, you have no options. There are lenders who will offer what are called day one mortgages. So you've landed in the UK, you picked up the phone and you've called me the next day. There are lenders that do that. Those are few and far between. And usually the income criteria is a lot higher, usually around £75,000 a year. To gain access to a range of options, you should have at least 12 months in the UK. So I would say, to manage your expectations, if you've been in the UK 12 months or more, there's a good range of options for you. I help people that have been in the UK 12 months or more every single day. They don't have a UK passport and they are on a skilled worker visa. But do keep in mind, your time in the UK will impact the minimum deposit requires. I'm going to talk you through the deposit situation because this tends to be a stumbling block for people. Not because it means that they can't get a mortgage, but it usually means they misunderstand what the criteria is around the deposit. Getting a mortgage is about math and criteria. Don't take it personally. Don't think that the mortgage broker is there to trip you up or to catch you out there. As mortgage brokers, we are licensed professionals. We are here to help you. And we are also here to help you and protect you from yourself. So, despite what your barber says, or your friend, or your cousin, or someone who's recently purchased a home that is not you, despite what they say, it takes a lot longer than you think. I stress this with my clients all the time. And despite that, they tend to come back and say, why is this taking so long? So, the actual process that I go through to assess how much you can get for a mortgage, I can do that quickly. However, the actual process of purchasing, so going from speaking to me the first time and getting the keys to your brand new home, your first home in the UK, the process takes 4 to 6 months from the mortgage offer. So you have to understand it's 4 to 6 months from when you actually have the mortgage offer. Looking for a home is a full time job. It's not like on TV where you just walk out there and you look at a property, they fall in love with you, you fall in love with them, you make an offer, they accept the offer, and then the next thing you're moving in. It's not like that. Any home that is of any value and is competitive is going to take a little bit longer to purchase because there's probably other people looking at that home. So the negotiation process can take weeks, it can take days. But I would say, and I know you won't take me up on this because most people don't, but if your mortgage broker does offer a negotiation service, let the expert do it. They're going to save you money. On average, I save clients about £2,500 on their purchase price by negotiating the deal for them. You're welcome to do it yourself while you're at work and calling on your lunch break and sneaking off into the break room to talk to an estate agent. But why not let a licensed professional who does it every day negotiate the mortgage for you? Do your research first. So before you approach your mortgage broker, have a feel for how much the houses in the area you'd want to live in actually cost. It's surprising to me how many people come and talk to me about their free mortgage capacity report. And I ask them as one of the first questions, how much does a home where you'd like to live cost? And they have no clue. It's very important that I understand how much the homes where you want to live cost. And I keep stressing where you want to live. You may need to be a little bit more flexible with where you live. You may need to be a little bit more flexible with the size of the home. This may not be your forever home. And especially if you are on a skilled worker visa, you need to be realistic about what you can afford and what you will actually qualify for. People tell you what they want you to know. So when your friends and family are telling you about their process or their journey in getting the mortgage, they're only going to tell you the bits that they want you to know. They may not talk to you about things that happen that they're embarrassed about. So only listen to a licensed mortgage broker who knows your circumstances. Don't listen to some guy on YouTube, TikTok. Don't listen to me. Listen to the person that you've talked to and they've actually done a review of your finances and your ability to get a mortgage. And your affordability is your income minus your outgoings. I have a great formula for how you figure out how much of a mortgage you may be able to get and how much of a property price you may be able to get. But keep in mind, if you make £3,000 a month, let's just say, and your bills amount to £2,500 a month, the lender's going to look at the £500 that you have left over. So your affordability is your income minus your outgoings. This is why it's so important that you pay down any small loans that you might have. Let's just again recap the timelines for a mortgage. So the process is as fast as the slowest person. So that means if you are trying to cut corners and save £100 or £200 on a broker or on a solicitor, and they're really slow, they're not professional, you can't get in contact with them, they avoid your phone calls, that can delay your mortgage. It can even mean that maybe you lose the property because the seller thinks that you're not serious because they're asking you, where's your agreement in principle? When is the valuation going to be done? But because your mortgage broker is inefficient or unreliable, you delay. And then that person's like, I'd rather sell to someone who's going to move quickly. The negotiation process can take weeks. Remember that. It can take a while, especially if you're doing it yourself, because the estate agent might contact you and you're at work, you're unable to pick up. Underwriting takes about 2 weeks. So the underwriting process, I'll just talk you through the process of getting a mortgage very quickly. You'll speak to your mortgage broker. The mortgage broker will do an affordability assessment. If you speak to me, I will then generate an illustration for you. So go through the entire mortgage that you will be applying for, interest rates, terms, payments, everything. I'll go through everything with you. Then we will apply for an agreement in principle. When we apply for the agreement in principle, that's when you pay your application fee. So we've already done all the work, but then you pay that application fee. Once that has been done, let's just say you found the property and the offer that you've made to purchase that property has been accepted. Once that offer is accepted, this is when things really start. This is when we would order the valuation on the property that the lender can confirm that they're comfortable with the value of that property. Once the valuation comes in, that's when the underwriter will start doing all of the checks. So they'll look at your pay slips, your income, your outgoing, your credit report, everything. That's the underwriting process. That process can take about 2 weeks. That's if you provide everything quickly. If you take long or your mortgage broker takes long, it can take longer. But let's just say 2 weeks. Once you get the full mortgage offer, so the full mortgage offer is when the lender is saying, yes, we will lend you this amount of money on that specific property. So the mortgage offer is a full mortgage offer. It's an agreement that the bank will lend the money. Once you have that, This is when the solicitors start to do their bit. From that point on, that's when it takes 4 to 6 months. So it may have taken 3 months just for you to get to that point. But once the mortgage offer is in place and the solicitors are dealing with each other, it's about 4 to 6 months in that process. So be warned, understand that it can take longer, it can be quicker, but on average, it's 4 to 6 months from the moment of full mortgage offer. My top tips. So, do you really want to hear my top tips for getting a mortgage if you have a UK passport, if you don't have a UK passport, if you have a skilled worker visa, or if you have indefinite leave to remain? First and foremost, I don't want to burst your bubble, but be realistic. Don't expect to be on a £30,000 income and get a £500,000 home. As I always say, the best way to kind of estimate how much of a mortgage you should be going after is to take your salary, multiply it by 4. I always use 50,000 because it's just an easier number to use. So if you're on a £50,000 individual combined salary, multiply it by 4, that will give you 200,000, and then add the deposit. So the multiple of 4 is how much of a mortgage you will get. So that's how much the bank will lend you. And then the deposit on top of that number is the price of the property. So 4 times 50 is 200. £200,000 mortgage. If you then had a £30,000 deposit, that's a £230,000 home. Be realistic, work with that number. The other thing is know your budget. You may not feel comfortable paying a mortgage payment that on paper you can afford. I've seen it all the times when we've done the calculations for a client and they could maybe afford a £2,000 a month mortgage, but they say, you know what, I don't feel comfortable paying more than 1,600. Keep in mind that's going to reduce the amount of mortgage you can get, but be realistic and know your budget, know what you're comfortable with. Know your affordability. As I said, it's 4 times your salary plus deposit. Be prepared. So start to gather your documents in advance. So get your 3 months pay slips, 3 months bank statements, P60. If you are on a skilled worker visa, generate your share code, have proof of deposit, have proof of address, have proof of ID. Be prepared. And the key thing I would say, trust your broker. Trust that they're giving you the best advice, they're finding you the best rate, and they're being open and honest with you. If you don't trust your broker enough to be open and honest with them, then you shouldn't be working with them. This whole process is about trust. The mortgage broker will be able to find you a mortgage based on your circumstances, and they'll make sure that it meets your needs, your budget, what you're comfortable with. But we cannot do anything for you if we don't have the true figures. But I would say, I've been doing this for 30 years. I've been looking at bank statements for 30 years. I can figure things out. But I shouldn't have to figure things out. It's an uncomfortable conversation when you're telling me one thing and clearly your bank statements or your salary or your pay slips reflect something different. Always be open and honest and make sure that you trust your mortgage broker or don't work with them. The best way to find a mortgage broker is by being referred to by someone who has used them recently, someone that you know and you trust. But keep in mind, as mortgage brokers, we will never disclose any of your personal information or theirs. So you are protected by GDPR. Do you want to understand how mortgages work? Do you want to understand how the UK financial system works? Do you just want to improve your financial literacy? Well, I have a book for you. I've written a book called A Mortgage is a Really Big Loan. It will help you through the entire mortgage process, but it will also help you understand basic financial literacy. I talk about wills, I talk about trusts, I talk about most of the basic things that you'll need to understand to have a successful financial foundation. The book is available on Amazon, and it's not just about mortgages. It's a great gift if you have a young person going off to university, or if you know someone that's recently relocated to the UK and you don't want to give them random advice or talk to them about your situation that might misguide them. Instead, you can purchase this book for them. It's called A Mortgage is a Really Big Loan, and it's available on Amazon. What do you do now? You should book a free consultation. So yes, it's free. I will do a full mortgage capacity report with you. What does that mean? I will go through your income, your outgoings, your credit profile, everything, and tell you how much you can get for a mortgage. It's very, very rare that I can't get someone a mortgage. Sometimes people's expectation is well beyond what they can afford, but it's very rare that I can't get you a mortgage. So, as I said, friends, family members, anyone other than a licensed professional has told you you can't get a mortgage, make sure you speak to a licensed professional, a mortgage broker who understands your needs. I'll do a free mortgage capacity report. If we do not get you a mortgage offer, then you pay no fees. No fees if we're unable to get you a mortgage offer. We'll provide full support and guidance. That includes if you need a solicitor or if you need any referrals for builders or surveyors, anything like that, we can give you those referrals, but you're welcome to use your own. I also accept evening and Saturday appointments. When you go into my diary, if there's a time that is not available that would be more convenient for you, just make sure that you reach out to me. So that's a full free consultation. However, I do charge broker fees. So I charge a $495 broker fee once we get you the mortgage. So you're paying for results. Once we get you that full mortgage offer, that's the only time that you pay the broker fee. There are application fees, but we can discuss that when we have our appointment. I really appreciate you watching. My name is Anthony Lindsay, and I make these videos to inform you and to educate you, to help you improve your financial literacy. I don't give financial advice, legal advice, pension advice, or tax advice. These videos are designed that you can have information and speak to a professional, qualified mortgage broker who understands your circumstances. Make sure that you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share this video with anyone that might find it useful. This information is correct at the time of recording, and I appreciate you watching.